good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you are. It's an honor for me to be here. My Excellencies, Dr. Ken Giami, Chair of the Board of the African Leadership Magazine, fellow honorees, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen. I'm truly humbled today to have been selected to give the keynote speech for this very important African Leadership Magazine event for 2021. I'm honored firstly because I believe it's one of the highest calibers of membership under the African leadership across our continent. The African Leadership Council is in a league by itself, and we are grateful for the leadership of Ken and all of the other members of the Leadership Council and the African leadership family for continuing to work on such an important project for Africa, showcasing our best and our brightest, telling our own stories. But let me give thanks to whom thanks is due. Firstly, to the Almighty God for enabling us to meet on this platform, to engage, to network, to make new friends, and to talk about one thing that each of us love, Africa, our home. I also want to thank Dr. Giami and the African Leadership Magazine family for allowing me to be a part of this amazing story, which has placed my steps behind some of Africa's greatest, upon whose shoulders we continue to stand. My prayer is that God will continue to allow us to be worthy of the calling that we've put ourselves in, working to create the Africa that we want. I like to say the Africa we deserve is no longer about what we want, but what we deserve as Africans. I'm honored. Today's platform presents a new opportunity for me to continue to work on being the best African female leader in my season. I always remember every morning that I've become a positive role model for others, so that each of us can join our synergies, our hearts and our hands to building the homeland that we so love. That being said, Excellencies, fellow honorees, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I was given the onerous task of delivering this year's keynote speech, Pathways to Economic Growth in Africa, a subject which I believe has been discussed in many quarters, around many coffee tables, and on many platforms of the world. So today's platform is definitely not the first. So I make my comments this evening with the knowledge that no one person has all the answers, but that collectively our views, our opinions, and our conversations will help us work towards building an Africa of economic freedom, development, and growth. Permit me to therefore add my view to this conversation. If one would consider this topic with the common eye, we would see many challenges. It is said that Africa's economic growth is in a decline due to COVID and other issues. This decline is accompanied by increased levels of public debt, decline in domestic revenue, low development indices, increasing rates of unemployment, and increasing birth rates across our continent. According to the African Economic Outlook, Africa experienced the worst economic recession in more than a century. And if you add COVID to our recession, it shows that growth has declined by 2.1% in 2020, but it's also expected, this growth rate is expected to increase to 3.4% in this year. It is also projected that Africa needs approximately $154 billion to respond to the current economic crisis. It would take us maybe 100 years to raise what we need to put Africa back on track. Though these statistics are alarming, I believe it presents awesome opportunities for innovation, for education, for collaboration, integration, and new partnerships here on the continent. The question therefore remains, what are the pathways for economic growth in Africa? And I won't take this from the economic perspective, because I think there is a general framework in which we must all work in order to produce the results that we want to see. So my discussions will be focused on the following. Number one, increased collaboration on the continent between sister states in areas of trade, industrialization, green energy, and infrastructure development and mobility to enhance our continental integration. We must get the political will from our political leaders to implement the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement. And Africa must integrate, breaking down all barriers that keep us apart. We must work on the promotion of peace and stability, democracy, the rule of law, and good governance. Each nation in this union must do their best to reduce or eliminate all forms of corruption and mismanagement of national resources, whether they are human or material. We must strengthen continental judicial bodies and build a high respect for decisions emanating therefrom, creating an environment where the rule of law actually exists. We must work to create valuable trade linkages and value chains for agriculture, energy, tourism, mining, and other viable sectors. We must be willing to take the political decisions to enhance industrialization and processing of all natural resources on the continent. If we are the continent that has the last remaining resources, we should not be involved in transporting our natural resources across the seas where they are processed, where our jobs end up being secured in the other continents while we continue to deprive our people of jobs and economic growth and development. We must develop our human capital by providing spaces for relevant education, training, and innovation for Africa's youths, enabling them to find solutions for our own African problems. We must build a continental ITC platform, which we all need to engage in viable commerce and trade amongst ourselves. I believe we must build strong partnerships between both the public and the private sectors, allowing both to redefine the new paradigms needed for mutual cooperation, trust, and success. And we must work to change the negative narrative about Africa. Change the narrative to begin to show a rich, innovative, prosperous, developed, diverse, integrated, and growing continent. Excellencies, distinguished honorees, ladies and gentlemen, the answer to the question at bar
we seem to have lost you as a speaker. Are you still there? I don't know if our technical team can help us out here with that. We were just getting to the crux of the matter, so I'm hoping that we can hear the rest of Her Excellency Jewel Taylor speech. I don't know if our technical team, are you all noticing any anything from your end? I know we're receiving positive response to the remarks as they've been given so far, with the one comment being made, brilliant presentation by Her Excellency, and a question as to whether we can have a copy of this. As I recall, these presentations are recorded, and I know for myself, I usually go to the Facebook page in order to watch them after this is concluded. You can certainly follow African Leadership Magazine on all the social media platforms, including Twitter and Facebook. And I'm not sure whether I see my brother Kingsley also here. Are there any other ways that people can stay connected to this after the program?
Thank you very much, Wendy. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you for the awesome presentation thus far. Yes, beyond the Facebook, on our website, we usually have a transcript of some of the keynote speeches. We publish them in the magazine. The next issue is going to also have the full speeches of our keynote speakers and the business leaders that are going to be speaking to. So yes, beyond the Facebook page, our website, www.africanleadershipmagazine.co.uk. We're going to put it on the chat box so that you can also visit the website and download some of the speeches when it's done. Thank you very much, Wendy, and over to you.
Can I? I'm sorry for the break in our discussions, but let me wind up. The answer to the question we're discussing today is very simple. I believe we need the political will at all levels to make the right decisions, to make life better for the majority of our people. We need to strengthen African solidarity and integration, and we need to eliminate all forms of corruption, undemocratic tendencies, and provide a safe and a secure environment under the rule of law for mutually rewarding partnerships and growth. We must ensure policies of equity and inclusion, especially for females. I am once again overwhelmed by this unique opportunity to add my voice to this discourse of providing policy prescriptions which we can use as we continue to build a better Africa and not a bitter one. Again, I am honored to have been given such an opportunity to sit at this table with all of you from around the world. Thank you, Ken, and thank you, Nwandi, and everyone. It's a pleasure to be here this afternoon.